Welcome back to Meaning in Christ. Today we're diving into the mystery of the lost tribes of Israel, a story that spans thousands of years, filled with historical intrigue, religious interpretations, and some pretty compelling legends. If you're familiar with the Hebrew Bible, you've likely heard of the 12 tribes of Israel. According to the Bible, these tribes trace their lineage back to Jacob, also known as Israel, who had 12 sons. Each son became the ancestor of a tribe, and together these tribes formed the nation of Israel. A narrative that begins in the book of Genesis, with Jacob's sons ultimately traveling to Egypt, setting the stage for the story of the Exodus. Later, after escaping Egypt under Moses' leadership, the tribes settle in Canaan, where they divide the land among themselves. They're led first by judges, then by kings like David and Solomon. But after Solomon's reign, the kingdom splits in two, the northern kingdom called Israel and the southern kingdom called Judah. Here's where things take a dramatic turn. In the 8th century BCE, the Assyrian Empire conquered the northern kingdom of Israel. According to the Bible, the Assyrians exiled a large portion of Israel's population, dispersing them across their empire. These exiled Israelites are often referred to as the 10 lost tribes because after this event, they seemingly vanish from the historical record. The Bible doesn't provide many details on what happened to these tribes. For instance, 2 Kings 17 describes the fall of Israel, but doesn't specify the fate of the individual tribes. This has led to centuries of speculation. Did they assimilate into Assyrian society? Did they migrate to other regions, or are they still out there somewhere, waiting to be rediscovered? The mystery of the 10 lost tribes has captured the imagination of scholars, religious leaders, and even explorers for thousands of years. According to Dr. Andrew Tobolowsky, author of The Myth of the 12 Tribes of Israel, the concept of the 12 tribes itself may have been shaped largely by Judah, the southern kingdom that survived Assyria's conquest. After Judah was later conquered by Babylon, its people developed a collective identity as Israelites, incorporating the lost tribes as part of their history and identity. This idea of the 10 lost tribes became a powerful symbol over time, representing not just literal descendants, but also religious and cultural identity. Legends grew around where these tribes might have gone. Some claimed they traveled east, while others speculated they went west. There were even stories that they settled in Africa, Asia, or crossed some mystical river into hidden lands. Throughout history, many groups have claimed descent from one or more of these lost tribes, often to assert a connection to Israel and to God's chosen people. Let's look at a few examples. The Samaritans are a small religious group who live in Israel and the West Bank today. For centuries, people believed they were descendants of foreigners who settled in Israel after the Assyrian conquest. However, the Samaritans claim they're actually descendants of ancient Israelites who remained in the land. Recent scholarship supports their claim, suggesting that some Israelites did stay behind and continued their lives under Assyrian rule. This Jewish community in Ethiopia has long claimed descent from the tribe of Dan. According to Ethiopian tradition, the Queen of Sheba visited King Solomon, and their son Menelik brought Judaism back to Ethiopia. When Jewish travelers encountered this group centuries later, they recognized their traditions and accepted them as part of the Jewish community, ultimately leading to their migration to Israel in the 20th century. The Book of Mormon, central to the beliefs of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, tells the story of a group from the tribe of Manasseh who allegedly migrated to the Americas. This story aligns with the 19th century belief held by some European settlers that Native Americans might be descendants of the lost tribes, a theory called the Hebraic Indian theory. In medieval Europe, the legend of the lost tribes took on new life. Prester John, a mythical Christian king in the East, was believed to rule over lands where the lost tribes might reside. European explorers and crusaders hoped that Prester John and his forces would come to their aid in the Holy Land. This idea grew into a framework that Europeans used to understand new cultures they encountered. Whenever Europeans came into contact with unknown people, they asked if these might be the lost tribes. It's a fascinating example of how religious legends can shape perceptions of the world. In the modern era, people continue to seek out connections to the lost tribes. The Black Hebrew Israelites, for instance, believe they descend from the ancient Israelites, offering an interpretation of the lost tribes' narrative that speaks to their cultural and spiritual identity. Similarly, British Israelism, a belief that the people of Britain are descendants of the lost tribes, gained popularity in the 19th century. Although not widely accepted today, this belief reflects how people continue to find ways to connect their identity to these ancient tribes. So why does this legend persist? According to Tobolowsky, the segmented nature of the tribes makes it easy for groups throughout history to identify with a piece of Israel. The 12 tribes aren't a single entity, but a collection of distinct groups, each with its own identity. This has allowed people from vastly different backgrounds to find a place within the story of Israel. Scholars like Tobolowsky suggest that the tribes were always meant to be flexible, a way for people to claim a lineage that's both spiritual and communal. This helps explain why the idea of the lost tribes remains so resilient and why it continues to inspire so many around the world. Beyond the historical and religious aspects, being Israel carries a sense of divine purpose. In the Bible, Israel is God's chosen people with promises of blessings and a unique relationship with the divine. This status has a powerful appeal for groups seeking spiritual identity and validation. For many, identifying as Israel offers a profound connection to a history that's both ancient and sacred. So, what happened to the 10 lost tribes of Israel? It's likely that many Israelites were exiled and assimilated, while others remained in the land, integrated into surrounding communities, or fled south to Judah. The lost tribes, therefore, may not have vanished entirely, but instead evolved into new identities and cultures. In the end, the story of the lost tribes isn't just about what happened historically. It's about how people across different eras and cultures have connected to a shared story. Whether through historical fact, legend, or spiritual belief, the lost tribes continue to captivate us, offering a sense of belonging and mystery that transcends time. If you found this video meaningful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and be sure to check out my other videos. For those interested in diving deeper into topics like these, check out the link in the description, where you'll find ebooks that explore these subjects in more detail and help support the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time as we continue exploring the intersections of faith and history.